Good evening, Commissioners. I get to present, Catherine Furpo and I get to present the General Plan Annual Report, which covers implementation of the General Plan and the housing element, and it has a new little section about the housing successor. Implementing the land use element, you folks have made 12 decisions last year, including the Hyatt Place Hotel, and held important study sessions on 6701 Shell Mound, Christie Avenue Park Expansion, 3706 San Pablo, Sherwin-Williams, and Marketplace. Oops. And in terms of area plans, in Park Avenue, they got a park into the capital improvement program, a dog park under the 40th Street Bridge. And implementing the North Hollis plan, there's a greenway section under construction south of 59th Street. In terms of economic development, the city is, council just had a study session, I think, on the draft economic development strategy. And staff helped to put on a Berkeley Emeryville bioscience meetup. Implementing the transportation element, we now have a capital improvement program with a lot of bike ped improvements. The council approved a traffic calming concept for Horton that did not include barriers. The city's installed bicycle video detection at 4 intersections, and we adopted a traffic impact fee with vehicle trips as the way of deciding what people pay. We have participated in several countywide planning efforts. The Emeryville Berkeley Oakland Transit Study is done, and the city has tried out 2-hour parking zones and found that yes, they do work in keeping turnover for the retail. And as these pictures show, the safe routes to transit on San Pablo Avenue south of 40th is under construction. Implementing the Parks, Open Place, Public Facilities and Services element. In the capital improvement program, there's a skate spot, the Temescal Park Adeline entrance, and reconstruction of Davenport Park. And the Temescal Creek Community Garden has opened. There are events in the park, movies, picnics, and shows for the kids. This is in Doyle Hollis Park. The fire department conducted 4 personal emergency preparation classes in different parts of town. The Emeryville Center of Life had its groundbreaking, and the city runs a play program at Annie Yates School. In terms of urban design, pedestrian and bicycle amenities, you required them in the East Bay Bridge Shopping Center and requested them in study sessions for the Shell Mound Residential Marketplace and Hyatt Place Hotel projects. In public art, the city has solicited designs for the Shell Mound Power Bridge Public Art Project, and those submittals are in the link. And there's a public art master plan RFP that includes looking at gateways. And this is just from the art purchase from the exhibition. In the sustainability element, the city has installed 68 bike racks and gotten a grant for 12 lockers at Amtrak. We're testing fuel cell vehicles, and 2 of the city's projects will have green building ratings. ECCL will have a lead rating, and the 3706 that you'll be looking at in just a minute will be going for green point rating. And then, of course, there's off the grid at the public market on Saturday afternoons now. So general progress on the general plan, not including the housing element. We've made progress on 66 actions this year. 7 were completed before. 1 was started last year and will hopefully be done next year. 2 are later, so we're not dealing with them yet. 1 is ongoing but didn't apply to any projects this year. And the only 2 that we haven't started that are supposed to be short-term are the Crescent Marsh Path. And now I'd like to have Catherine Furpo come talk about the housing element.
Good evening. This is a separate report that we do to HCD, but it's actually part of the general plan report. Goes into the general plan report as well as to HCD. This slide is our progress in meeting the RHNA, the Regional Housing Needs Allocation. And as you can see, we actually made a lot of progress. We're at 65% for the very low-income units, only 5% for our low-income units, 24% for moderate income units, and we exceeded the market rate unit requirement. Oops. Sorry.
Just press escape.
There we go. I actually prefer this. So as far as the housing element and the programs, we made progress on 41 of the programs. 11 programs had already completed before 2014. 3 were about redevelopment, 2 are ongoing but did not apply to any projects in 2014, and 2 required county programs that were not funded in 2014. The affordable housing set aside, we have 2 projects. We had 2 projects under construction in 2014, Park on Powell, with 8 very low income units and 13 moderate income units. They are renting up those units right now. Emmy on Christie has 29 very low income units, and they are marketing those units right now. They expect to be occupied in March. And Park on Powell is expected to be occupied sometime in February, at least the first phase, first building. The success, we have a new, the housing successor is working on 3 sites right now. This is the new report that we have to do, was started this year, about the housing successor and any housing assets that are that the city holds. We have 3 sites right now: 3706 San Pablo, which obviously you know where we're at on that, and we're seeing it next. 6150 Christie is in pre-development. You saw that at your last meeting. There was a talk about the what would go at those sites, and 3602 Adeline is those very small sites that are on the corner of Adeline and 36th. They are, we're in the process of doing the environmental assessment on them. 3900 Adeline, the building permit was issued. It's 80 units, 5 of which are very low and 7 are moderate. That's 80 units in Emeryville, by the way. It's actually a larger project, but we can only count the units that are in Emeryville in this report. And as you know, we've had a study session on 3706 San Pablo, and we're moving very fast on that project. And that's the end of the report. Do you have any questions?
Just one quick one. I don't know if you can answer. How do our percentages stack up with other area cities in our region?
Very well. Actually, ABAG just gave us an analysis of the other cities. I believe there's only 2 other cities or counties that have achieved more than we have, but it depends on what you're looking at, because some people have done better in the low, but worse in the very low. So it's, you know, it's hard to say, but we've done very well compared to other jurisdictions.
Is that cities in the Bay Area or?
Cities and counties, yes. The 9-county Bay Area.
Okay.
Do you have any explanation about the very low versus low, why the low is so, and what exactly is low? Remind me again.
So when we had redevelopment, redevelopment required that we do a production requirement for very low incomes and moderate income, but there was no production requirement for low. So the way the city's affordable housing set-aside ordinance worked was it was 6% of units were very low, and 9% of the rental units were very low, and 9% of the rental units were at moderate, and we didn't have a low-income production requirement. As you may recall, in our impact fees, we have changed that policy. So if a developer of rental housing chooses to do in lieu rather than pay the impact fee, then it's 6.9 units at low. So we're trying to find that balance in our inventory of affordable housing.
I have a question for Diana. I just was a little unclear how off the grid related to sustainability.
There's a policy about farmers markets, and we thought that was kind of close, and we could mention that we're doing something sort of like it.
People walk to it.
Diana, what's the timeline on the art for the Powell Street shell mound?
So the PAC, the art PAC, actually wanted to go back and have they have actually recommended one of the proposals, but they asked to go back and look at some colors of the lighting, and so I don't know when it's coming, but there has been a slight delay in taking it to taking the final approval to council, because the PAC wants to see some more information on the colors of the lights of the one that they chose.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? All right, then we will open the public comment for this item. Is there anyone who would like to speak on the general plan annual progress report?
Okay, I'd like to talk for a moment about the general plan and density, housing density. Okay, it's pretty much the entire city, the power elite here in the city, that would be the 7 of you and others. Everybody agrees that density is an inherent good here in our city. Increasing the density. Why is that? Why is density an inherent good? Well, there's an historical context here, and if you look at that, this was the progenitor for this density as inherent good concept. Comes back to the idea of the late 80s, early 90s idea of smart growth. The idea is that we should do infill housing and infill development in our urban cores so as not to exacerbate suburban sprawl, which is considered inherently bad, suburban sprawl. So that's why density is considered a good thing. We've inherited that here, being an inner city city. So density is good. How much density? Well, that's an open question. If we could make 100-story towers everywhere in Emeryville, but most people would say that that's too dense and not good, even though increasing the density is an inherent good. So there is some amount that's too much. How much is too much? Well, we've never had that debate here in Emeryville. Instead, what we've done is we have deferred to the developers. We've let the developers tell us how much density is the correct amount of density. But that's a flaw. We shouldn't be letting the developers define for us what is good vis-a-vis density, because they have a different metric than we have. What drives them is profit motivation, and what drives us is livability. So there's a conflict here. So I put it to you that we should stop. We should have a debate about what's the proper amount of density that's good, and we should stop letting the developers tell us what the amount is good for us, because developers will steer us wrong in their chasing of profit maximizing. So I think we need to have this debate about density and what's the proper amount for us. And yes, it is an inherent good, but it has a finite amount, and we should have that debate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public comment, and we'll bring this back for discussion. Anyone have anything to offer on the general plan annual progress report?
We have no resolution, I don't believe, or do we? Did we have? No, we don't have a resolution on this item. We would simply ask for a motion of the commission to recommend city council approval of the annual report.
I so move.
I would second. I think that's a very good job, and I think the city's doing good.
Thank you.
Right, do we want a roll call vote?
Want me to call the roll?
Sure.
Okay. Commissioner Cardoza?
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson?
Aye.
Commissioner Gunkel? Aye. Commissioner Keller?
Aye.
Commissioner Coomerly?
Aye.
Chair Moss?
Aye.
6 ayes, the motion is approved. We will pass your recommendation on to the city council. Thank you.